In this video, we're going to be talking about what I like to call the biology of truth and what happens when we spend so much time and energy, since energy is currency, when we spend all of our currency on living inauthentically. And I think we don't realize how many of us are doing this, where we say yes when we mean no, where we suck it up, where we have to do something because it's what our kid needs or what our boss is demanding or what we feel like we're supposed to do, whether it is getting up at 5 a.m. to go to the gym because you know that's what you're supposed to do, even though you feel worse after you push yourself to do it. So if I could guess, I'm guessing most of you watching this video have been there. I certainly have. And understanding that there's actually an exhaustion or a level of exhaustion that can come in when we live this way that is extreme, and it doesn't easily get fixed with supplements or sleep. So what happens is that when you're concealing who you really are, it would seem to some of you like that's easy. You're just kind of putting on a mask and going through your day, but it actually requires biological energy. So you're spending that precious ATP reserve of currency on keeping the mask going. And there's actually been data to show that, where what they showed was that inhibition theory, so actively holding back, is physical work that taxes the body over time. And there's been a couple of different studies that have proven that from a few years back, that suppression is not silence, it's effort. It takes effort to suppress, and suppression and that effort is metabolic, so it's going to tax the body. So you can fake what you don't feel and act like you're happy. If you're, let's say, at an event, you can act happy. But if the inside, not so much, that gap bridging requires you to do work. So if there's an internal conflict that you're struggling with day in and day out, you're spilling ATP, you're spilling energy reserves, and this is something that the body could be using to heal, to restore, to make your hormones, to let you find joy. So be precise and honest. And I want you to take a few minutes and just sit with yourself. Where is there an internal conflict that maybe you're physiologically dealing with, meaning you're sucking it up? A body that is in defense and not in healing, where you're staying in a stress response just to keep the status quo. Can you really analyze that? Can you sit with it? Can you understand that if you live a divided life, that you're likely and much more likely to have different types of disease states pop up? There are studies showing the parasympathetic sympathetic balance of the nervous system and how you end up having decreased vagal tone, decreased parasympathetic over and over again when you're living out of self-congruence, when you are putting on the mask in the day in and the day out. So there's data on energy expenditure. There's data on keeping you in nervous system activation, where you're really sympathetically flying instead of that parasympathetic rest and digest. So you've got multiple ways that living out of your truth can affect your biology. And integrity in general, ancient cultures understood this. They talked about alignment being how wholeness and authenticity and integrity are all the same thing. And if you can have integrity with yourself, we think about integrity with others and being above board and telling the truth. But I think so many of us don't think about it in regards to our own biology and our own journey. Where are we not, where are we incongruent? Where are we separate from what we truly feel when you sit down? And one thing that I like to teach a lot of my patients is that so many of us have traumas, and this is just about everybody. It could be a medical trauma. It could be you got lost when you were 2. It could be you had to walk on eggshells for one or both of your parents when they were around. Early childhood trauma and any other kinds of trauma that come on with life, they end up making the vessel or the physical body uncomfortable. And what happens is, instead of sitting in the uncomfortableness, working through it, allowing yourself to be true to what's happening in your body, most of the time, the default is to become super busy outside of your body, whether it is merging into those around you. So too attached or overly involved with your kids or your spouse, or becoming a workaholic. So many people do that, where they will flip into just work mode, or doom scrolling on the phone, or constantly watching things, or over exercising. Anything that you could be doing that is allowing you to not deal with what's happening in your vessel is also part of this biology of truth. It is your compensatory sort of trauma mechanism. And so if you can stop and really analyze, give yourself just the honor and grace of thinking about this. You know, where are you distracting yourself from the actual truth and keeping yourself busy not to feel it? Because if you take the time to sit and feel the emotions, journal them, soak in Epsom, call a friend, get a therapist, do some EMDR or ART types of therapies, do some somatic work, use vagal nerve stimulators. If you can do that and calm the nervous system down, feel the emotions, have practitioners help you, acupuncture, jinshin, energy work, then what happens is the pain is not so unbearable, and you start dipping your toe back into your body. And the more that you can sit in that vessel, have your soul and your vessel be connected, that is authenticity. And when that happens, then you're much more likely to be able to share your needs, to speak your truth, to live authentically, and not burn energy pretending to be someone, to like something that is not what you really want to be doing. So take the time today, this week, start thinking, where are you maybe living out of truth? Where do you think you spend energy keeping the mask going? And start thinking about what you can do, some of these different types of interventions that I mentioned, to bring yourself back into your body. And I think what you're going to find is some really exciting access to energy you didn't have before. And it's going to be energy that was spent on regulating your nervous system, on keeping the mask going, that you're not going to have to spend anymore. And guess what? You use it for everything. Learning new things, joy, new relationships, passions. And that is life-changing. So live to your truth. It's not easy, but it is well worth the journey.